Yay!
Hello.
Girl. It's hard out here. I didn't know how to get you over here. I didn't know what I was doing.
They came
I
in
was
here.
like kind of fishing for you, and then it was like nudge her, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to invite her. Like how was that?
I did you poke me? No, I didn't see it, but they came in here. They were pretty good. They were like, Nina
I was
wants
like, go over there.
you.
Me, somebody help
And
me.
then someone was like, no, it was Grows Wild. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Now I'm going over there because Nina's
No,
trying to get
you know I didn't. Hell no. So it's a no for me. You know she's watching though. How do I move this sign? Like there's nothing that's a discount to it. Like,
I have no idea. Oh, there you go.
okay. Did you see the body language expert on the dinner?
Did she do the one that we were watching the other day?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
did she do it?
Yes. Yes. So I don't know if you could show it on your laptop because my laptop's not charged. I can send you the link.
I can show it on my computer.
But I feel like this is something that because she's so like thorough that I feel like when she explains certain things, you're able to pick up even on other people's behaviors.
Yes.
So if you're not even privy to like this type of behavior, I feel like it brings awareness.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. What? Her name is Indigo, right?
Yeah, you need to be following her. Why aren't you following her?
I did follow her.
Okay.
I did. I just haven't been on YouTube today. Hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a pass, Ivy. I'm gonna give you a pass.
And honestly, I don't need to go look for it because y'all let me know when she puts the video up. Why can't I find her?
I'm gonna drop the link for this in the chat, in our chat.
How come I don't get notified when she puts another video out? I don't get notified.
You know what? I don't get notified either, and I have my notifications on. I just so happened I was uploading one of my videos, and one of my so after I uploaded it, it showed me that. But I think that this is a good video for everyone to see on here.
Yeah, I like her though. She's spot on.
She is. And you know what's funny is like I feel like I know how to generally read body language because I used to hire people all the time, you know? So you kind of after you hire but so many people and then you kind of realize what's what and what identifies with certain people. So
Yeah.
I know how to generally like read body language and read people, but she's so like thorough.
Yeah, she's on. Yeah. All right. Wait. Is this the one? Gypsy Rose ruined this dinner date. All right. Let me see if I can get you guys.
But you know what? Listen, and I don't care what nobody says. You might have an issue with what I'm saying. Fight me. I'm actually happy he's being a whole butt to her.
Me too.
I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I'm actually kind of like, yeah, finally.
It's about time somebody put her in her place.
Right. Like, come on. Hey.
All right. Let me see if I can pull this back, but I still want you to be able to hear it.
I just think her reads are so interesting to me.
Is that too big, you think? All right. Let me see. Can you guys see this?
Hold on 1 second. But I'm here.
Hi, welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you're a current subscriber. Today I'm analyzing a few scenes that I found on a TikTok channel called JJ Wife. I'm going to try to leave the link to that channel below, but I found a few scenes that I'm going to analyze today. A few things I was able to find here. I also want to apologize in advance. There are parts that have a pause and play button and things along the bottom. That is not on my end. Let's get into it.
The woman actually probably gave her kind of a rundown that, we're newly reconnected. Mm-hmm. Unexpected things. I love it.
A few things here that I've noted right off the bat are that Gypsy is fidgeting a bit. She's not directly looking at Ken. Ken is mostly concerned with the road, all of that being normal, of course. And then Gypsy turns to her head and illustrates reconnected, and that makes sense, illustrating that with Ben towards herself. They both have reconnected. All of this makes sense, but there's a level of comfort here that they are going to break soon that I will talk about. But at the moment, Ken is towards her a bit, very comfortable in this middle part here. Gypsy, however, is a little more closed in. Her shoulders are closed in. This one, she's not as open. She's fidgeting and she's saying things that she's not certain how Ken will react, and therefore she's not glancing over at him as well. She's focused on considering what she's going to say on the road, perhaps, on things she sees, but mostly on what she's going to say and how Ken is going to respond to this.
Tracy Ann, it's Indigo.
Therapy. I support therapy.
I'll put her link in my bio, in my link tree. Go follow her. She's real good.
Where we can improve on.
Thank you.
No, Ken's part in this. First, Ken continues to have one arm on this middle piece here, but there's a bit of an adapter that, as Gypsy says, that she knows that they don't have any issues. She just believes in therapy in general. You see that adapter walking away and some lip compressions. Before that, right before that, he turns to her, glances at her very briefly, and you see a smile appear on the bottom of his face, but he has shades on, so I can't tell if there's anything up here, what's going on up here. Most likely, not a lot. This, of course, is not a genuine smile, and I believe that's pretty apparent.
Indigo, she's a body language expert.
This is ridiculous and not, of course, wanting to go along with this. Following that with the lip compressions confirms this because that is wanting to say more, holding back, wanting to say something and how he truly feels about this. Gypsy, however, continues to avoid eye contact. With Gypsy, there are no eyebrow flashes around, oh, I know, even though her tone raises, attempting to be agreeable with him to go along with what he's saying. And instead of eyebrow flashes, you see her eyes shift towards him, trying to see if he will react in any manner. She knows that this is deceptive, that she does not fully believe that they're only going because she thinks they need some sort of improvement in general, that there's something specific she wants to go over. And prior to this, her mentioning them reconnecting and her saying that she stated this to this counselor indicates that there's more along the lines of them connecting that she wants to go over. You then see an eye blink around, oh, improvement, her chin goes down, defending this vulnerable part of her body. You see her hands go up in a stop gesture there. Defensiveness and also closed off. She's more reserved here again, not open and confident in this, and telling him this is exactly what's taking place. This is exactly what needs to happen, what we're there for. This seems more of a plea to continue to connect and agree, and acknowledging a bit that he doesn't want to go along with this, that he does not agree to this situation, but being and making him believe that this is for an
Ivory?
Yeah.
Oh. So before this goes any further, one thing I want to note during this is the person that they saw is not a therapist, they're a counselor. Thank you, Pamela. She's not a therapist, she's a counselor. So she's asking this lady to do something she's not really qualified to do. I just want to say that before we go any further, because I think a lot of people think that this woman was an actual therapist. She's just a counselor.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
And it was a maternal counselor. So this wasn't like,
yeah, you know, like postpartum prenatal counselor.
Yeah, when I looked at her up, I was like, what is happening? You know, that lady felt like, make me Wi-Fi God so I could disconnect. You know, she wanted to disappear. There's no way she didn't, because she looks stressed out.
She was like, I'm not equipped to handle this. What's happening? Why are y'all arguing?
She really did. Like, I've seen her at least 3 to 4 times go. I was like, wow, she's self-soothing. And this is not even her therapy session.
Wait, does Indigo do the therapy session?
No, I'm talking about the therapist.
I want to see her. Yes, I want to know what the therapist is thinking.
You know what? I would love to see Indigo sit down with them.
Yes.
He wouldn't. They wouldn't do it, though. You know why? She could see right through them.
They can't fake it. Yes.
And you know what? If you are a con artist, the most stressful thing in the world would be to sit down with her.
And have somebody trying to read your body language. Because you can't fake it.
The fact that you are literally watching me here in the moment, and you could straight up read that I'm a BSer. No, I'm not happy about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Entirely different reason than what they're actually going for.
All right. And also, I think that therapy is also helpful because we are in a stressful situation. You know, with us being in the public eye, right? Us being new parents, and also not living together full time. Right.
And this part, Gypsy continues to avoid eye contact, shifting her eyes very briefly over that direction. This indicates that perhaps she expects resistance here, that she knows that he, again, does not fully agree with the situation. There's eyebrow furrowing around in a stressful situation. She fully believes that, and that makes sense in that context, that she would have the eyebrow furrowing and then public eye, her eyebrows raised, acknowledging that they are indeed in the public eye, but continuing to be closed off and not making full eye contact with him. Ken has distracted himself with the task of driving, which he showed in this case. It's safety, of course, but he isn't glancing towards her or fully acknowledging or agreeing what she's saying. In fact, verbally, he's brief about his response and focusing on what he's doing, not fully accepting what she's saying. And in this case, perhaps this is why she is saying it, but she knows that he would not fully agree with because he is distracted with something else. You see a mouth shrug on one side of her face before she says, and living together. This is something that most people who have watched Gypsy for a long time know, that she has been trying to push Ken to make a commitment. This is a bit manipulative, and perhaps she knows, again, that this is going to be met with resistance, that this is an intense topic to talk about.
You are resistant. I don't want no parts of it.
And that is a commitment in itself. There are is they're having to go between at this point in the show, his being all the way in Texas and she still lives in Louisiana, according to the show. And so a lot of discomfort and inconvenience around there. She knows still that this is not something he's on board with changing. High stress to him. And so she is perhaps starting to talk about this as she knows he is distracted and it won't fully land with him. Whereas if they were face to face on a couch somewhere, it would fully land what she's saying, and this perhaps would be met with even more resistance than what we're seeing in this moment.
Thank you. This is my first pregnancy.
Yeah, his back looks like a pillow.
Oh, she is with the counselor.
So,
Here, as Gypsy walks past Ken, he's holding the door open, which is a sign of respect, but he has an eyebrow flash, an eye blocking, an aversion to what's in front of him as she walks past. This is most likely just his disbelief that they are doing this, that they're in this situation, and disapproval of this being where they're at, and the fact that they're going to this place that he seems to find ridiculous. And then it cuts to the two on the couch. Even though they are touching there,
The way she said ridiculous.
there's still some opposition there as their shoulders are apart and they're faced more towards each other. If you look at Ken's legs, he's taking up space on this couch.
And look who's sitting in someone's live saying, look who's trying to stay relevant.
Other indicators that something else is going on there. He has this arm, this direction, and there's this adapter on Gypsy's, like this self-soothing behavior he has going on. So not this open, fully casual communication. And if you look at one, it's more pointed towards the door. Now, this could indicate his desire to be out of the situation, out of this room, and uncomfortable about this. But there's this barrier here, his arm across, and his adapter, all of this indicating he's not feeling casual and comfortable about this situation. Gypsy is more open with her body language. Turned towards Ken, she does have that bit of
that part.
But this is more her wanting to connect with him socially. And at the same time, she's illustrating all of these things with her hands, talking with her hands, connecting with this therapist, and indicating this lack of certainty around this entire situation. And verbally, she confirms this, of course, with saying that she doesn't know what to do in this situation. Now, prior to this, she had said that they were just there for general improvements, and now it's coming out that really she just wants to establish a deeper connection with Ken, indicated in all of what she is doing with her legs crossed towards him.
So she wants to
facing
love
him,
Ken, and
she's
Ken don't
expressing
love her.
uncertainty here. And licking and making
Like,
that
how are you
check.
trying to have counseling with someone that doesn't want to be with you? That's just wild.
Great, but not enough to indicate a high level of stress here.
you were telling me that this is sort of a reconnection.
Now we have a counselor. The counselor is leaned forward, engaged in this conversation with his couple, listening intently and very interested and focused. She's also confused, indicated by her hand on her chin here, and she's closed off. She doesn't know what she's looking in right here. So you don't see this open, big body language.
Not the counselor,
She's
all
listening intently
confused.
and trying to figure out
Girl.
exactly what's taking
She
place.
said indicating her hand on her chin like this.
And what's going on. So she then says, you told me that this was reconnecting. Perhaps she's feeling that that isn't precisely what this is, or that if it is a reconnection, if they have reconnected in some manner, that is not what she is seeing between the two so far. So her body language is small, closed off, but she is at the same time engaged with this couple and trying to figure this out. Then it cuts to Ken and Gypsy, and their body language has changed as well. Gypsy has her legs more closed off, not towards Ken. She's not connecting fully with him, and she then closes off. She is mirroring this counselor a bit here, which can be manipulative, I think, in this situation. It's just that
Ooh.
she has been exposed, for lack of a better word, as to why they are really
Look.
here now. Prior to this, she was
Wrist, like this.
there's a general needing to improve. They don't have problems. And here they are, and Ken's eyes shift when the counselor says reconnecting.
Hey.
He wasn't fully certain that what Gypsy had stated was going on was going on. You say one wrist downward casually, the other hand grasping his hand like this, weighing it down a bit. This is an indication of feeling perhaps powerlessness in a situation, and you see a lot of negative tonality. Nothing going on that indicates he is
There ain't nothing masculine about that wrist right there.
in any manner. Gypsy then has lip compressions, more she wants to say or holding something in, of course, something she disapproves and dislikes about what just took place, and perhaps again that is because the counselors just told Ken what they really were there for.
Can you explain what the relationship was like back then, maybe?
I just saw her documentary and it was just like really just like heart shattering. It was really sad to see what she had gone through.
You see, I accessing with the counselor, and she, again, is just trying to figure out the situation. Lean forward, engage with this couple, interacting with them, listening intently, but still closed off. Still just really not certain and confident about what's going on here. And then she illustrates, of course, back then maybe, illustrating with that timeline, and you see a bit of an eyebrow flash. It's really subtle, and then cuts to Ken and Gypsy. Gypsy is very uncomfortable here, of course. She situates her pillow, and then her arm goes this way, she leans this way, away from Ken a bit, putting distance between the two. Perhaps, again, she's going to expect some opposition from Ken here, a negative reaction of some sort given what was just stated about why they were truly there. So perhaps that is why you see that level of discomfort and opposition, and then vertical lines in her face, negative tonality. She's not expecting his response to be a good thing. Then on to Ken, there's a lot of data collecting, just thinking what things were like as he
Hold on one second.
neutrally that there's this documentary he watched and it was heartbreaking. Though there's a bit of a lilt, it turns into a question when he says what she went through, as if he's not confident in his statement in that particular bit. What we're not seeing here, though, that we would
As
expect
in he's not confident.
here
I
is
just
that
want you to be clear. She said he was not confident in the statement that he made.
with each other, even though that's supposedly what they're there for. You see more opposition, more indications of feeling powerless and hesitant or unsure about how the other is going to react to what's being stated.
I had never written a letter to anyone in my life. I just felt compelled to write her like a letter for compassion. We wrote back and forth for months. And
He looked confused again.
The chemistry we have, and when I met her for the first time, it just started to go in that direction.
Ken's body language here is a little less reserved, a little less closed off, but he avoids eye contact with Gypsy. Again, not displaying any kind of affection we would see here. There's forehead creases and an eyebrow raise around. I've never written a letter to anyone before. His head goes down, but you see all of this in his forehead and his eyes that indicate that perhaps he's feeling a bit defensive about the fact that he has written to Gypsy in the first place, given he had not done so before. Very honesty around that he had not done this before, emphasis around that, and significance around that. So that has been...
Yeah. The conversation on the way home had to be wild.
Oh, yes.
Protecting that vulnerable part of his body. That was shame there, but emphasis around him not having written a letter prior to this. Then there's eye accessing, data collecting, thinking about what took place next. Just completely avoiding Gypsy's eye contact. As she sits and listens intently, you see her varying. She seems uncomfortable still, but then she repositions herself as perhaps she notes that he is not reacting in the way that she expected, and she can get a little more comfortable towards him, but she's facing him, her lips are pursed. She is wanting to say more.
Listen, I would be stressed too, hairspray though.
Expressing your what?
Navigating how to properly communicate with each other's stress. Because I just don't want to.
Now both the
Yes,
counselor
buddy.
and Ken's body language seems to be a bit more open, as both of them know now what exactly they're there for, what they're inviting in, what they're more open to responding to. Gypsy, interestingly, is now the more closed off. And when I say closed off, I mean the shoulders are in. There's not open, large illustrations. It seems more reserved, more protective, less confident in what's being said. In this case, it's Gypsy because she's stating that she doesn't want to corrupt Ken's positivity. She's not making eye contact with him during his part, though. You see her considering, eye accessing,
Yeah,
thinking
he's not gonna get away.
what he's going to say and illustrating this is what's taking place. It's asymmetrical, but still makes sense in this context. You continue to see a bit of space between the two, some opposition there. Perhaps Ken has lightly clasped hands. He's not feeling a lot of comfort here, but isn't as closed off and uncomfortable as he was prior to this. His head, however, slightly tilted as he's listening intently, but uncertain about what she's about to say. And with a slightly lowered eyebrow, the eyes wide open, looking at her, there's a bit of disapproval there.
Corrupt your positivity if I'm having a bad day and don't see things in the most
Oh, he's getting mad at
Gypsy's tone
that.
lowers a bit as she's not confident in this part. She has popped up again with this one barrier between the two. There's a bit of distance between herself and Ken. There's a bit of opposition and resistance, and both their body language and verbally.
They probably are. You know, Gypsy,
To corrupt
her
his
people report me all the time.
say this confidently.
You're getting
Ken's
reported?
hand moves up
Oh,
under-
yeah, but it's okay. It's not saying anything.
Evaluating what's being stated, but his eye contact is no longer with Gypsy connecting with her. It's with the counselor, trying to figure out if she's on the same page, if she's reacting in some manner to this information.
He looks like he's
and
pleading with the counselor to be
and
like,
listening
make her stop.
to what's being stated from
Help
Gypsy.
me.
Again, the
Help
lowering
me.
of the eyebrows
Please.
slightly, the pupils upward a bit. This indicates a lack of approval and some level of disbelief in this case. And Gypsy is the one now trying to establish this connection with Ken, get him in agreement and on the same side, which he is not reciprocating. And this distance between the two indicates resistance, some level of opposition and disagreement between the two. If you think about it, if you have a family member or friend that you are bonded and in agreement with, you are typically physically on their side or establishing eye contact. There's more positive tonality, more smiling, laughing, genuine laughter, more forehead creases, more indications that you're connecting to each other. There's leaning forward, just building rapport or further connecting with that individual. Typically, you wouldn't
Thank you, Hollow Man.
goes off and look towards them with that distance between the two of you. Now, this is a counseling section. That is where they belong in this case, and there's a lot that's going to be said that the other is going to disapprove of. But that's just what we're seeing here body language-wise. Ken does not want to be here. He continues to have
Hey, Charlie.
that he wants to escape, that he's not fully committed to this conversation, and then that judgment and evaluation and disapproval that you see in his face.
Okay.
I don't like that. I'd rather you just be honest.
You look like she ready to just go home to her wine. Thank you, Spirit.
That maybe he's not interested in talking about it at the time. He shuts down.
Her tone raises when she says always, but then goes back down when she says be honest. There's a bit of an eye block, a diversion when she says honest, and her head goes back. She's not making eye contact any longer, and she no longer takes this seriously. There's no vertical lines in her face or anything indicating that she truly means this. And then that follow-up with the word but, indicating in some scenarios, in conflict with saying the word always, there will be times that she's not as honest. Now, we do know, based on her own words, that she is a pathological liar and he's manipulative. That's just my
Thank
opinion.
you,
It's her
Lisa.
own words, and I don't know if behaviors that have proven this. It would be curious if anybody Gypsy has talked to feels they're getting the full story.
This is actually kind of the first time I've been honest. My truth. the man who's been completely honest with them.
You see that in words such as this, her head going up, and that positive
Hey.
doesn't take this as seriously, and this conflict in her words, an asymmetrical shoulder shrug, and then
Yes, thank you, Lisa.
repositions herself, perhaps mirroring Gypsy a bit, creating that distance, pulling back as Gypsy had prior to this, and she clasped her hands in her lap. She was feeling a level of discomfort listening to what's being stated and what's going on here. She notes this negative tonality is expressed in her face, that she's not happy or laughing with them or laughing with Gypsy or smiling as Gypsy is. She does very much take this seriously.
But watching the sign language, not the sign language, the body expert, Indigo.
For a positive reason that Gypsy had stated prior to this at the beginning of this session. She's not as closed off as she was. The tension in her shoulders or anything that we saw at the beginning of this, as again, she knows and understands really what this couple is here for. Gypsy then becomes more serious. You do see the vertical lines in her chin going down, that defensive, protective movement there over that vulnerable part of her body. And she establishes eye contact with the counselor, and it illustrates closing down.
She said she establishes eye contact, but one eye is looking at her, one is looking for her.
Oh, Skip, yeah, I'm sorry.
Social media has been a big stressor for us, and he has a harder time with it. I've been in it longer.
Gypsy's voice is lower here, and it has been noted in the past by people such as her ex-husband Ryan that Gypsy will use this childlike voice, perhaps when she is trying to get something she wants, get her way, manipulate people. You're hearing that a tiny bit here, I believe. You certainly know your confidence in her tone and her body language. She's closed off. Allegedly, she's pregnant here, so this could be the real reason behind her hand being on her stomach across this direction. But she certainly has some distance from the counselor and Ken. She isn't sitting upright. You don't see the confidence in the forehead, creases in the eyebrow, raising. Everything should be seen here if she was confident in what she was saying. And she even says, I'm here at this bit. But notice Ken's body language. All of it is pointed away from her, more towards what I imagine where the door would be. And again, he didn't seem eager to be here in the first place, so this makes sense. But a lot of opposition towards Gypsy, and you see that as well with the knee straight, that direction, almost blocking her off.
Gary.
He is pointed a little more towards where I imagine the door would be. Then, of course, the stain on his face, the lip raising up, the eyebrows going down, and him flinching away from her a bit, indicating that he deeply disapproves of and has a stain for what she just stated, which is that Ken has more of an issue with the social media presence and everything that happens on social media. He does not believe this. Gypsy herself perhaps doesn't even seem to believe this, as she does not say this confidently. And truly, we've seen her online a lot, fighting with TikTok hackers and people in comment sections. So it makes more sense that
TikTok
she
hackers.
this, and then you see that lack of confidence in her, Ken confidently disagreeing.
Answer that I gave you, we rebuttal it. Like I did, okay, well then I'll stop doing it. Well, you said that before. Okay, well then I'll try and be more adamant about it this time. Well, I don't know if that's going to be true or not. And I was like, well, I don't know what to say.
In this bit, Gypsy's
I
exhibiting
would try to be more adamant about this time.
She has her hands across her stomach. Again, could be because she is pregnant. Allegedly, most likely is because she's feeling uncomfortable. You see that indicated in several other behaviors here, such as rapid eye blinking, her chin being down, protecting that vulnerable part of herself, and then Ken being very illustrative and expressive with what he's saying. He's not making eye contact fully with her. At one point, he's at the edge of his seat. He's expressing something that seems defensive and aggressive, but not connecting and fully seeing if Gypsy's in agreement or on the same page. It seems this is something he's very confident and in disagreement with her about. This idea of social media.
Yes, it is. The mom.
Tried to communicate or did not do so well. He seems very defensive about this. He's on the edge of his seat. He's very tense, but you see that closed off body language, but much smaller hand movements that would.
You mean they're not soulmates?
Feeling strongly about this, especially
Come on,
since
Bree said that they're in love and they're happily in love, and
but
she doesn't know what he's talking about.
Her, not facing her for a good bit of
In love with each other or the money?
He is next to her. He isn't fully next to her. There's this distance, the space.
They're in love with the cold.
They are bonding, they are connecting, and he seems to have most of his body headed towards the door. All right.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, this is the part I was waiting for.
Now we've skipped to the dinner scene that a lot of people also wanted me to discuss. At the beginning here, you see a lot of positive tonality with Gypsy, plus so Ken. He's distracted with cutting out this octopus, and there's a lot going on here. Body language-wise, not so much, because Ken just nods his head very subtly, but again, is distracted mostly with cutting up the octopus. He didn't, however, ask her if she wanted this. He did not see what she wanted. He did not have that concern or level of care for her to do this. Now, that's what's being discussed right now, is that perhaps he is disgusted by her, has a lot of disdain for her. You certainly see someone who is being more concerned with himself than he is for Gypsy, his pregnant girlfriend. Just a lot going on there that raises some questions. Body language-wise, what we don't see is a level of shame and guilt from Ken in this bit. He is more concerned with this octopus and cutting it up, and not so much her. He keeps
not the octopus.
Distracted with the task of cutting up food. Gypsy, however, she has a first, and then that goes down. She looks towards somebody, looks at Ken, forces more laughter, and distracts herself with wiping off something. But no level of shame or embarrassment. There's nothing going on that indicates that Ken is embarrassed by this, which tells me that this isn't a brand new incident, something that is out of the realm of normal behavior for Gypsy or himself.
Don't think about it, just eat it.
I think it may be bad if you consume too much while you're pregnant because of the mercury, but I think you could have some.
Yeah, as long as it's cooked.
Yeah, and within reason.
No?
The scene starts off with Gypsy eye blocking. She looks up. There's a forehead crease there. She also has a soft gesture, and she's saying, "Don't be dramatic." This indicates a level of impatience with even herself, and Ken is just watching her closely to see what her reaction is.
With a little
She then
smirk
has
on his face,
blocking,
knowing she's
as
gonna
of
hate
course
it.
She does not like the food. And see from Ken that we
That's the
should be
level that he can't stand her.
He's surprised, the eyebrows up and the eyes widens, but pulls their tonality across his face. He's feeling disbelief at the fact that this is not good to her. There is forehead creasing and eyebrow flashing around. It's good. He fully believes that it is good and is surprised that she does not think so, but she is thoroughly disgusted at Octopus and impatient with herself prior to this. What we should see expressed on Ken's
How
face
could you be disgusted with octopus when you eat mystery meat in prison all the time? Thank you, Justice.
And some level of indication that he's protective of her in some manner. And instead, Gypsy's met with surprise, disbelief, and a lack of concern.
Just swallow it. Just swallow it. Don't be ridiculous.
Okay, no. Oh, not. Kill me.
Really, is that bad? I think it's amazing.
Ken continues to indicate a lack of concern. There's no eyebrow furrowing, forehead creasing. It's all surprise and disbelief at this. Perhaps there's a part of him that enjoys it. He wanted their connection and agreement to be around this. He's even leans towards her, really engaged in what she's doing and how she feels about this. But there's a level of concern that you would expect from a caring partner.
Doesn't
And then he
care.
says, "Don't be ridiculous."
At all.
Being condescending towards her, and he starts to create distance. He coughs. Perhaps he knows that there's a camera, that people are watching, there's this audience. You don't see shame and guilt.
Sassy.
You don't see him becoming defensive, just this uncomfortable bit of a cough, and him pulling back, him withdrawing, and this disdain around her not being in agreement that this is a good food. So perhaps, again, this is something that he wanted to connect with her on personally and experience that he thought that they could share.
I think the baby did come early. I don't know that for sure, but I think so.
Instead, she's in disagreement with this, breaks that connection, that will to connect there that Ken perhaps did.
Letty, I think this was in the second trimester, because what I don't think a lot of people realize with this
pregnant girlfriend, and she isn't
is
like
that they jumped from time to time in this show. So like the episode was all over the place from timeline, but they're trying to convince us that the timeline's on the timeline. They're trying to show us, but they're not the same. Nothing's uniform. They're jumping from, like, watch her hair change in the scenes.
Yeah.
shows that he did not even ask her to agree on in the first place. With Gypsy, you see all of the behaviors you would see if she were speaking about something she didn't approve of. You see the eye blocking, the mouth blocking, the lip compressions, everything that you would see if she were speaking and saying something she wasn't comfortable with or feeling something that she was in disapproval of. Perhaps Wykin withdraws and says something that was a bit condescending, that he feels she is just perhaps being disapproving of the food, and she is being ridiculous, as he states, and not that she truly dislikes the food.
This is the first episode.
Is it delicioso? They're very good. She doesn't love it. That's her first time.
Not good. I'm gonna.
What's that here that can happen?
Oh, I have a fear of octopuses, so I don't think it is like.
Try.
You might have a fear of an octopus, but girl, it's not moving.
When the waiter approaches and Gypsy is smiling in the lower half of her face, but that drops when Kim tells the waiter that she did not love the food. You see that drop and nothing changes in her eyes, just confirming that that was not a genuine smile. Now, there's nothing particularly wrong with that. People do notice
He said octopuses.
they are positive and happy, but it is more apparent that it is just an act. However, Ken pulls this waiter into their conflict here, which is pretty telling of his communication skills. They are frequently pulling others into it. And you see that in a lot of what they do with Rod, King, Chrissy, Raina.
You see, it's usually Gypsy that pulls everybody into it. This time Ken pulled the guy
which
into
allows
it.
for a disconnect. And it's possibly the reason that
I think that goes back to the, oh, that was so cute, thank you. I think that goes back to the thing we were saying about Demona yesterday.
Yeah. You've seen that pattern with her as well, that I won't go into in this particular video. But Ken engages more and pulls in this waiter into their conflict here. He tilts his head back, exposing that vulnerable part is towards the waiter. His head is more towards the waiter. He's more engaged and connecting with the waiter. His eyes go down towards Gypsy and his hands go out towards Gypsy, as if she's a spectacle, as if this is not his girlfriend and he is not bonded or connected to her, but someone someone who perhaps should be ashamed of themselves in some way, not someone normal. So he has yet again put himself on the opposite of Gypsy. Even body language wise, he's distanced himself from her. Interestingly, she's not as distanced. Even more, this is
Thank you.
what we would not expect to see from a loving couple. Someone who would willingly and openly tell a waiter or an outside person that something is wrong, especially if it is within their relationship and within a communication between the two of them. Especially since she is pretending to be positive about this, and he is telling this waiter he is dishonest. That she.
You know what I think is very interesting about this part is that I feel like she was trying to make it look like everything was okay,
Yeah.
but it was going so left that she could not make that happen.
Yeah,
You know
wasn't this supposed to be the best date night ever, and then she comes into this nonsense?
But here's the thing, and I think a lot of people like miss this because I've seen comments where they're like, "Oh my gosh, look at the way Ken treated her. I can't believe he would do that." But when you really think about it, this girl unalived her mama. Do you think that any man is going to really love her?
Right?
That's
Is she
I
even
just feel
lovable?
like that's delusional.
Is she really lovable? Can anybody love her?
If the first person that would ever love you in life, you lied on, you defamed, and unalived, how could you?
Yeah.
I think at this point Ken is embarrassed by her, but I mean it's too late, homeboy. You had a baby by her, and that's
That's what
insane.
I'm saying. It's too late to get out of it now, and she did that on purpose.
And if I was CPS, I wouldn't even want him to have custody because I would look at it like, but he did have a baby by a girl that unalived her mom.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so that would leave cause for questioning to begin with. Like, so you thought this was okay. It's not like you didn't know she got pregnant and then you found out. Like, you 100% knew this
Yeah. Yep.
when y'all did it.
Yeah.
You're unserious about life.
Yeah.
Like,
That's crazy.
saying be careful with who you have a baby by, this is an understatement. Because this
Yeah.
is like the worst possible like outcome to me.
This is the worst case scenario for this poor guy. Now
Literally.
he's stuck with a murderer and a kid.
Ooh, that doesn't even sound good. But he was one. But you know what's so funny?
Like, I'd never sleep again. If you got your human traits, I gotta sleep with one eye open.
No, facts. Thank you. But you know what I think is extra funny? Just remember, as soon as I saw her and Ken, I said this girl is gonna get pregnant and give his mama a run for her money. Didn't I say that? Like that was the first thing I said. So to see this happen is like, I told y'all a year ago. Before she even got pregnant, I told y'all that this was gonna happen. Like it was inevitable.
And it can be a bit shameful. And again, it's not what we would expect from a boyfriend and a girlfriend.
You want some?
Mm-mm.
You want to try a little bit?
No.
Yes, you will. Go try a little more.
Is that tomato?
I won't put any tomato in there.
All right.
Watermelon?
This is too much. Thanks. What is it?
It's tomato, crab, and watermelon salad.
Oh.
This wasn't the full scene of the dinner scene. I could not find, again, the rest of this, but a lot takes place during the scene that seemed awkward, off, hurtful towards Gypsy. Gypsy at one point shows a bit of disgust and her nostrils flare, some stress around him, telling this waiter that
Very
she's
awkward.
forehead crease when he says she's lying, some significance to that, and he tells her that she's disappointing. All things that you would not expect from a boyfriend towards his girlfriend who's allegedly pregnant. You would expect some concern, some forehead creasing and eyebrow furrowing, some grief muscles, something that indicated a level of concern, and then him not further pulling in this waiter into their issues and then shaming her in front of this waiter, degrading her in front of this waiter. You would not expect all of these things from a boyfriend. And again, his sexuality has been questioned, but also we have to consider that Gypsy had deceived him when she pulled him into the counselor's office and in other areas of their life. So this could be some sort of vengeance for that. Perhaps it could be because he wanted this connection to be over this meal that's important to him that he particularly likes, and that he is in fact hurt, even though he did not personally create this meal. He is offended a bit and upset that she did not like this and is not in agreement with, and this is not something that they could bond or share together. He also might consider her immature, might feel that she's just being immature and disagreeable, might feel that she likes this but is just causing a scene. It could be a number of things. So this entire scene really was strange in the grand scheme of things, because there's a lot of possibilities here as to what really took place.
Yes,
there's some editing that could have taken place, and we wonder why Lifetime would put this particular scene out there to make Ken look bad, because it does make Ken look bad. And while
that was the intent.
This way behind the scenes, what we're seeing on camera should have been edited out, given that Gypsy's narrative idea is that the two are great, they're wonderful, they're perfect, everything's going well. Instead, we see this, which paints her as a victim, and that's another possibility. But this perhaps paints her as a bit of a victim. Negative light. That way, if Gypsy happens to break up with Ken, it doesn't seem to be her fault, and everybody is basically cheering for this split, regardless of who
maybe
she
that's what she's setting it up for. Maybe they're about to break up and she needs to play. She's setting up to be the victim of it.
But it paints her in a victim narrative, and what's interesting.
Remember, they did.
Let's say that he's on
but I mean permanently,
or that he has been before. That's another possibility. Just a lot that could have taken place here.
I think
set him up so she could play victim to him.
This was
that's why I think that they portrayed Ryan to look good.
Yeah.
Like, remember, they were playing the videos of when Ryan said, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys, we can't talk bad about Gypsy." And look, I get it. I get it to an extent. I would say that about someone that we parted ways and they didn't cheat on me and have a baby on me.
Yeah.
But this, and gaslit me. Like, I feel like the things that she has done is not something where I wouldn't speak on the fact that I think it was messed up. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's how you know that she has manipulated him to a point that I honestly would not be surprised that if the end of the season she was actually with him, because narcissists like to triangulate their victims.
Yes.
And they like to recycle them. So I could see her recycling Ryan and just putting him through the ringer one more time. I mean, here's the reality. If you're going to find a dummy, then why wouldn't you keep, I mean, if you're going to find a horse, ride it. You know what I'm saying?
Here you go.
This agreeable, happy situation despite what had just taken place in the counselor's office, and instead what he was met with was Gypsy being disgusted and disagreeable. That's my thoughts on this and my analysis. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you've watched this far, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching.
That's another thing, Mama Cat. You know what's Haven has said? You know what's interesting is if you think back to when Gypsy kept saying the D was fire, right? Yeah. And then she says, like, it never was. Girl, you've already indicated to us that you are not honest.
And then she said, she sat there and tried to play, well, I didn't have enough of it to know. You had 6 men.
But remember when you posted it was fire.
Yeah. Yep.
So I feel like it's way too much, but I do think they are villainizing Ken. And again, Ken has always came across sort of aggressive. And I feel like it's always been like a banter, but it's like she's played into making him look like the big bad wolf. So when it does go bad, she could say he did anything, and the public is going to believe it. Even though we know she's a liar, the public would believe it because it wouldn't sound far-fetched because we've seen his behavior.
Look at how he's acting. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's honestly the real issue for him. And if he was smart, he would stop playing into that on TV.
I think it's funny that not only is she looking like a victim to us creators, they're picking on her, we're bullying her, she's also playing victim to what looks like Ken is bullying her. Like, she's just playing this whole, I'm being bullied by everybody. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she's on here talking about how Christy's bullying her.
That is coming maybe a week after she gets off parole.
Yep, I'm telling you.
And
I know
that is going to be epic.
Yes, it is. Yep.
That is going to, listen, but I must admit, the downfall I am really, really, really waiting for is her and Bree.
That's going to happen.
Listen, I would pay for tickets to that.
That's going to be funny. Absolutely, Petty. That's why her father keeps his distance.
I would literally pay for tickets for that.
But they're sitting here. I mean, it's obvious. This woman, and I like her, Indigo. I really like her.
I love her.
She is. And again, she was trying to be really unbiased. She was trying to be honest and fair. And you know what I mean? Yeah. But I mean, what can she say? You can tell that there was no chemistry there.
No, I don't think there. First of all, this man likes sausage.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't make him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't make him
do that.
Like what? And that's why I'm really concerned about the people that are like, oh, they're in love, like everything's great. because his body language throughout everything has been pretty much on brand.
If that's what love looks like to you, I need you to check your own self.
Man, your relationship has to be bad. If you consider that love,
Yep.
that means you are in a toxic relationship and you don't know what it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
No, his mannerisms, and it's not even just one scene or two scenes. I mean, how many pictures do we have like this?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a lot. And I honestly, I would be mad too if I wasn't living in my truth.
Yep.
So I could actually understand that. Like if I'm living a life that I honestly don't fault him for being hostile.
Yeah.
Because I would be hostile too. I would want to walk in my truth.
Yeah. I don't know.
But how much of this scene, specifically at the dinner table, right?
Right.
Do you think plays a part into that Demona and BDSM scene?
So, a lot, because again, we know that Gypsy, look at the whole Demona thing, all right? We know who Demona is. We know how she was with Nick. We know the background to who that character is. We know that that's a very dominant character, right? And we know Gypsy Rose in real life is dominant, right? But that sets up the whole, I'm going to let Ken think he's dominant when in fact it's really Gypsy running the show. And I feel like who the character Demona is and who Gypsy is as you're watching her really go hand in hand.
And in fact, I actually think, so we'll do a deep dive. Oh, hold on. It's making me verify that I'm still here.
You know, Mercy, you're right. All of her personalities that have come through the years, but it's only Demona that she really
described.
Because if you hear her talking about her other alter egos or personalities or whatever you want to call them, she doesn't have a description for any of them except for Demona. She talks about, oh, Kitty and Candy and whatever their names are, and oh, this is sexual, and this is this, and this is that. And then she gets to Demona, who I believe she really relates to. That is who she lives every day as, is Demona. And she gets to Demona, and she can tell you everything about Demona, but not the other ones.
Exactly. And what I think is very interesting is if you research Demona, right, and look at what she wanted to do to her offspring, it's in line with that incident report.
Yes. Yeah, guys, if you guys have not looked up the character Demona, go look her up. It's crazy.
Hey, butterfly. Like if you look that up, it's actually scary.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's played a lot out already of who that character Demona is. The problem is she's not done yet. There's more to play out.
That's why I said she would reoffend after seeing who Demona is and like really understanding like what it is that she is doing. She's not done.
Nope. There's no way because Demona's not done.
Yeah.
Demona's not done. Neither is Gypsy. Because in Gypsy's mind, she is Demona. I don't think there is no such person as Gypsy. Gypsy never had a person.
Exactly.
She never had one. She always lived with Demona. And again, oh yeah, I dressed up in rainbows and called myself Kitty and Candy and whatever the other ones were, but she never really related to them. Ruby even, she never even related to Ruby. It was Demona.
Yes.
The one with the knife, licking the knife.
Every single video that she did, even in that incident report, it was all Demona. It never said Ruby or anything else. And I wonder, what I think is interesting, was Victor supposed to be Gargoyle?
I don't know. Although I do know Victor himself is a vampire character. But you see, when you're sitting there doing this role playing, they'll intertwine. It's just your status of what you are. Like, she's a demon. You have to read what a demon is. Who is Demona? Demona's a demon, a demoness. And then you go and you read the characteristics of this character that she's playing. And it really does coincide with how Gypsy acts. And then you take Victor, or Nick, who portrays as Victor, and Victor is very submissive. And if you look at his vampire status, he's a lot more submissive, where Demona, the demoness, is a lot more, I'm going to make you think you're dominant, and then I'm going to bite your head off. Like, literally.
Yeah. No, literally. Like, and Demona was known for making, like, marks. So, like, the V that was on
branding.
Was branding.
Yep, the branding. And if you remember, guys, when we had that live and Jackie found the art, remember when she was portraying that she was like Demona and she was like doing that like art nonsense. Even the character she drew was branded.
Yeah. And you
But
know
so
what
was
I
Dee
think
Dee.
is very interesting, and this is the part that kind of like really blew me. Dee Dee's best friend's name was Titania, and
And that
Titania,
with Demona, yes, is a friend of Demona.
yes,
Yep.
and
Yeah, that's
Titania is like such a very unique name. So
yep.
I thought that that was very, very interesting.
Yeah. Really, just the way she acts coincides with this character. These characters.
And the tattoo she got on her back where her mom got her jabs at, that
Yes.
even lines up more like that
It's a
because,
form of branding. And then remember, she branded her leg. She put the V there in the blood. And then she branded herself with that memory.
yeah.
Yep.
And not only to do that, to make a video of the tattoo on your back
Yes.
is nuts.
Yes. So she can watch it over and over and remember.
Like that's so sick. Sick.
It is. It really is.
And for everybody to say, oh, that was not the reason, it very much was. Nobody could convince me otherwise.
Yep.
Nobody, because that is literally the core of who she is. So it's like, you can't say that's not what she was doing when that is the core of who she is.
Yes. And Lucy, I do think she's playing out these fictional characters, except only Demona. She only relates to Demona. And yes, I do believe she's playing out these fictional characters. The murder of her mother, the whole, situation with Nick and manipulating him and doing all that.
Even the comment she
Absolutely.
made the other day.
Yep. It's all,
Even the comment that she made about saying that Nick was a POS. Like, you're saying,
let me look up the
we know you're lying that you said that you were abused, right? But if that had been true, wouldn't he be a hero?
right. You would think.
So how is he that?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that just doesn't make sense. Oh, my handsome.
I'm trying to find where it's on my phone, but I'm on my phone now, so I will get it for you guys next live. The character traits and everything else. Well, it tells about Demona and the character traits of this demoness or whatever. But yeah, she is absolutely playing it out. The problem is there is so much more to this character.
It's deep.
Yes. The jealousy, the killing just for fun, the sexuality, all of it, it goes really, really deep. It's wild.
Yeah, it's deep. Because
Yep.
just reading it, you know what? I was just not ready.
I was in shock. I was in
I was not.
shock.
I was not
sitting here
ready.
like, there is no way in hell I'm reading this, and it sounds like you're describing Gypsy Rose.
And what's so ironic about it is I asked you, I said, Ivy, look up what Demona and BDSM, what's the correlation, and what's the correlation to that with someone with autism? And when you started to read, I was like,
Yes. Have you? Yes. 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 Yeah.
the level of shock, and not even just shock, it's kind of scary because okay, this time last year, right? I actually thought that Gypsy could change. Okay, that was the delusion in me. Okay, the reason why I say I thought she could change is because I still didn't know about the chromosome disorder at that time, right? And so I was kind of like feeling along the lines of thinking, well, maybe no one's held her accountable, right? And that's the only reason why she hasn't.
Right.
So I had said like the issue, and I've always said like that my issue was the lack of accountability, right? Okay, you did it, you can't change that, right? But accountability goes a long way, and accountability isn't just words, it's actions, right? And I feel like she'll say something with her mouth, but her actions don't line up. And you don't believe anything anyone says, but you believe their actions because their actions will be very telling, right? Like love is not, it's an action. You know what I'm saying? Or like anything's an action. So
Genuine action, yeah.
right, and she has not given any of that. And for me, I think the eye-opening moment for me to realize how bad she was is for when she reached out for me to really realize the whole reason was for manipulation purposes. That was an eye-opening moment for me, because to know that your whole intent behind it was just for you to pull it over.
Mm-hmm.
And because she's so used to manipulating, and one of the biggest traits about Demona is manipulation.
Yep, she's a big manipulator.
And what I also think is so interesting about the people that believe her story, that blows my mind, is the fact that she said her mom was controlling, right? Mm-hmm. She said that her mom wouldn't let her use the internet because there were strange people out there. But yet there's hours and hours of videos documented in that incident report that they watched of you doing cosplay for Nick and was sending it to his computer.
You are the strange, dangerous people there, Gypsy.
You are the dangerous people. Yeah. Like,
you were the people that your mother was trying to protect you from. You were the danger to everybody else. She wasn't trying to protect you. She was trying to protect us.
Facts. Facts. She was trying to protect the public. That is exactly what she was trying to do. Yes. Absolutely. And you know what? Listen, I think not that I think I could understand, all the people that, hold on, I'm trying to figure out how to get this off my, okay. Not that I feel like I could understand the people that defend Gypsy, but I will say this. What I don't understand is, after reading that incident report, being that she would offer up her daughter for someone's pleasure at the age of 13, that if anything would stop you from supporting her, that should be it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And then to follow that up, that AI picture that she posted, you can't tell, because I feel like if you flip the script, and if it was a man, people would look at this very different.
My whole thing is, you sat there and you acted like it wasn't true, and you defended her with this whole Gypsy and Nick thing, like Ken did. You defended her. Oh, it's not true. That never took place. And now here we are, thank you. Now here we are showing that it actually was a thing. She really did say it. It came out of her mouth. She really did.
And she said it on video.
The child. And now, what can you say? Because it was so bad when you said that it wasn't true. Why would nobody would ever say that? That's a horrible thing to say. Now that we know that she actually said it, well, now what do you have to say? You totally got with her and had a baby with her. Now that's your daughter that you have to worry about. Meanwhile, you were defending her, saying she never said it. Now here she is having said it. How do you even defend that?
That baby is not safe. And I don't understand why people think she is.
How do you sit there and say to everybody straight-faced and be like, I have no concern for my child? You're a fucking moron if you're not concerned for your child in the least little bit. Come on. She murdered her mother. She was sexually trying to offer her 13-year-old daughter to its father.
How do you
And let's be real. If you say you're concerned, Ken, you're fucking lying. Or you really aren't concerned because you don't care about your child.
I agree.
It's one or the other.
I don't even think it's that. I think they are one and the same.
Maybe.
Okay.
Because we know that's what her sexual appetite was. He knew it. He got with her. We know she's doing the same thing with Ken that she did with Nick and Dan and Ryan. Let's be real, Ryan. You don't talk about it. But we know she was a freak. And she's doing the same thing. Yeah.
Let me tell you, Gypsy has a plastic sausage. And she is ripping Ken up every which way but loose. And we know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Every which way but loose. So there's nobody's going to be able to tell me that that's not the case.
So now she gets Ken off, right? In that way, right?
Yeah.
But now what gets Gypsy off? Dominance, pain, all of that. That's what gets her off.
Humiliation. And that makes me wonder about that dinner, because is that
sexual foreplay? Yes. Was that dinner sexual foreplay? Because again, you got to remember, Demona too likes the humiliation because it gets her angry enough to kill the people she needs to kill.
Yeah.
So they take that humiliation in, and then they take it out on them later.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So that dinner really made me sit there and think, like, what was this for?
Was it really?
Listen, if you research Demona, what she wanted to do to her offspring and all of that,
Gypsy Rose is just
You will
getting
be
started.
you will be speechless
Yes.
because it's just really interesting that it finally clicked to me that we needed to figure out the connection to that.
Yeah.
And I will say this, if this went to court, right, she would have been found guilty and she would have got either the penalty or life.
Right.
But I don't think they would have ever figured out the Demona character and what Demona signified. Because look how it took us a year to really say to ourselves, wait, hold up. What's the correlation with Demona?
Yep. Why is it
And I'm
Demona?
going to tell you what really triggered it for me is when I looked up Demona and that picture showed up.
It
And
looks
me
just like
knowing
her.
that picture, yes, that's when I was like, hold up.
And holding the
That
knife
was
too.
it.
The knife. So Demona, her character also had a thing with knives.
And gargoyle in French is throat.
Yes. So you got to remember, this character, the character from Gargoyle, is based off the Demona role-playing character. And that is who Gypsy adapted as her personality, her ego, her alter ego.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, well, how do the gargoyles have to do with it? All coincides because the gargoyle cartoon thing was based off that Demona character. But Nina, take over this live. I'll be right back.
Okay. So I'm telling you, you guys have to look that up because for me, it was an eye-opening, mind-blowing moment that it really clicked to me. Because I don't remember, you guys, I did a video the other day, and in that video, I said she basically cosplays her whole life, right? Now, in my mind, she cosplays different people. But once I read Demona, it all made sense. I'm telling you, if you read about it, it's mind-blowing. Like, it's actually almost overwhelming. Because it's so to a T. Because Demona used those to alive people. Like, her whole character is about taking people's lives. Like, her whole character is about that.
And manipulating and being a victim.
Yes. And I mean, it plays out even on the show.
Mm-hmm. Oh, if I could get Dan on here, that would be, could you imagine how much we would find out about what she actually was like in these little meetings?
Girl.
We can
Man.
try.
And could you imagine how much of a mind F that was for Nick?
And I'm so glad you said the word mindfuck, because that is actually a BDSM term, and that's exactly what Gypsy did to Nick and to everybody else. It's called a mindfuck. When you sit there and you screw them up so bad, and here she is acting like, okay, you're the dominant one, this Victor's dominant, I'm the submissive, yet in reality, she is a dominant playing the submissive, and she mindfucks the dominant one because the dominant one, Nick, thinks he's dominant, but she knows that she is the dominant one. And so it's called a mindfuck. By the way, just figured I'd put that out there.
Yeah, I feel like we learned so much in that.
But too much that I feel dirty. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah, because I couldn't even...
It blew my mind that I was questioning if I was understanding it correctly. I was questioning what I was reading. Like, is this on a Reddit page? Did a Gypsy Rose content creator write this? Like,
I think it finally, everything finally made sense.
Yes. Yeah, with the whole Demona role-playing BDSM. Yes.
Because I feel like there was a lot of unanswered questions. And I didn't all the way understand the role-playing thing, right? Like, I know what it is. But in my mind, I kept saying to myself, what is the end game? Right? After seeing that, I realized then what the actual end game was. Does that make sense? Because that was the real issue to me, is what is the end game?
Yep.
Knowing that is the specific character, but you know what's low-key, like, awful when you think about it? The fact that Disney had this on their TV screens.
Right. Like, granted, they didn't, like, none of this was portrayed in the cartoon.
No, but the fact that you're able to look up.
Disney made a cartoon based off of a BDSM character.
Someone said, rest in peace to my Google search history. You know what's so crazy? I wanted to search something the other day, but I had to pause and say to myself, if somebody was searching my phone and they seen this, what would be the thought?
I said that to you guys the other day. If something happens to me and somebody finds my phone and reads it, looks at my Google history, I'm like, when I'm in prison, you were all coming up there and showing your phones too, so you can back me that I'm not some psycho.
First of all, just look at the Facebook chat. That will explain it all.
Sexual fetishes with food. I literally Googled that because it's a thing with in the BDSM world and the humiliation. Sexual fetishes with food. She's always talking about biscuits and gravy. The red. Okay, so again, the red sauce, the barbecue sauce and the ketchup. Well, that's blood. The whole. What was the other thing that she said in the She was smearing something else. Remember?
I can't remember. I know what you're saying.
And while she was licking the knife. Yeah. Yep, but the food fetish, like getting humiliated and wiping food all over you, and it's not even like it's a physical gratification because like someone's gonna lick off whipped cream or something like that.
Right.
Like
No.
they were in a computer. It was more she gets off on being humiliated, and so she would sit there. And if you read that incident report, the whole thing, it said that literally.
No, literally, the incident report was like literally reading the comic book character.
Yes.
Like that was the scary part because it's like. It finally all made sense because I really didn't understand. First of all, to really be honest, I didn't realize how much Demona played a part in this. Am I the only one?
I think Demona. I don't know what this is, but I think Demona. The whole thing was played out. She lived. The whole fantasy. That's why having a baby for her was always so important, regardless of who was with. She was so obsessed with it. Because that goes with the whole Demona character. She needed to have a baby.
Yes. That is why that baby's not safe.
Yeah. She didn't have that baby because she wanted to be a mother. She didn't have that baby because she just
wanted to report
with a man that she loved. No.
It's on several of my YT videos. I just can't post it on here because they've had it taken down.
And you were still being gentle.
Okay.
It does go with it.
Let's talk about Brie coming on this good Beyonce's internet yesterday with that little sorry ass apology video. Hey Brie, because we know you in here watching. Do we want to like just act it out real quick?
Go ahead.
I know some of you aren't going to like me for this, and you might be upset about this. But I have to say this because it's on my heart. So I'm just going to say it. It is not okay to put someone's unalived spouse on the internet. It's not. It's not okay.
Wrong. I have to be honest.
I've left you guys alone for months. And I know I'm lying about that, but I need you guys to believe that. But I have left you guys alone for months. And so I don't agree with that. And I want to say sorry to everyone that I did that to. Although you are the reason I did it. But I shouldn't have let that make me do that. Although I need you to understand where I was coming from. Because I left you guys alone for months. Even though I'm lying about that, I did.
Sure did.
And it is not okay to put somebody's spouse that's not here on this earth on here.
No, I was wrong.
But you guys put my mom daycare on there, although I have no receipts. And I will never be able to prove it because it's not true, but it is true. Of the 50 kids at her in-home daycare, you put them at jeopardy. And I know it's against the government regulations, but I need y'all to mind your business. But I am sorry. I should have never done it. Even though you guys did stuff to me that I feel like I should have responded, and I know I did. But I'm not going to take accountability for that.
Yep.
But
I'm wrong. It's what made me wrong.
I was like, wow.
I hurt people, but you'll make me do it.
That was the craziest apology ever. I was like, that sounds like a boyfriend that beat you, whooped you, and then tells you because you ate the cookies that he wanted, that's why he did it, and you have to just understand why he did it.
Yeah.
And yes, he's wrong, but I did it because I really wanted those cookies.
You know that I love those cookies. And you know that I would react like that if you ate a cookie. And you ate a cookie anyway, so my beating your ass is your fault.
Right.
Yep.
And then this was her on the other live. She goes, Nina uses all her followers. And she's such an awful person. She only uses her followers for money. And you have to be Gypsy. Okay, you gotta be Gypsy in this part. And I just hope they see how evil she is. Oh, Gypsy, is that you? Hi, Gypsy. Hi, Gypsy. I was just talking about how upset I was about Nina. She's such an awful person.
What did she say?
She said, Nina's such an awful person. And then Gypsy goes, I know, but you can't change people. And you of all people do know
and she's sitting here trying to tell the world that she's a changed person. She's talking about, but you can't change people. Wow.
When I say the biggest comedy show ever, like, you know, sometimes you wonder.
I'll give credit, though, to Brie. Brie can fake tears better than Gypsy can. I mean, they need to have lessons there. You should teach her.
Part.
Because she can. I mean, she's all watery-eyed and they're fountain, they're pouring out like, whoa.
That part, I will give you that.
I need to give some lessons, yeah.
That you're absolutely right about.
Yeah. Yep.
Because she can absolutely fake some tears better than Gypsy can.
Oh yeah, she can. Hell yeah, she can. And she's sitting there and she's talking, but the tears are streaming and she could be talking perfectly fine. You know, like, I didn't mean to make these videos of people and talk about people's looks. The tears are just flowing. Like,
meanwhile, she has pictures of you in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Talking cash,
S-H-I-T. I mean, these are just funny. They're cute. They're not bad. Like, yep.
Like, if I was to put a picture of Ronald McDonald up and say breed, because that's what you're giving.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How many times did she say she wouldn't come back on the internet for a week or so, and then like the next day she's on here crying?
Do you remember that day when she was like, I'm going to be gone for a month, or she was taking like a mental break? And I was like, and I'm not going to lie though, this is after like a week worth of 24/7 lives. A whole 8 hours she was off. I was like, whoa. Then she came on in 8 hours just to tell everybody why she was off and that she's not going to be on because she needs to take the break. And so then she went off for another like hour and a half. And then she came on because people were talking shit and she needed to rebut it. But I was like 8 straight hours. Like, I mean, I was impressed. That was some kind of sorcery there.
The fact that the hacker, first of all, Ivory said she thinks that Rusty the hacker sounds like Ken's daddy.
You guys didn't hear Ken's dad in the show? That was my good friend Rusty. Come on. I know my Rusty when I hear Rusty.
You're so silly. The fact that you said Rusty sent me. I can't lie. That sent me. But I don't know, like his dad looks like he has his stuff together, so I'm kind of like, dude, I know you wouldn't be doing that at your big age.
What? How do you know? These people all know how to put on a show. I mean, do you really think that he wouldn't do it because Gypsy needs it? Listen, I'm having this baby. I need you to, you know.
But why does Kid look like his dad?
Yeah, he didn't age as well as gracefully as his father did, I'll tell you that.
He looked like he's his dad's father.
But you know what, though? Ken didn't age until he got with Gypsy recently, in the last year or two.
Would she not stress you out too, though?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, look at him a year ago. I'm about to pull up a picture from last year. And then if you look at a picture of him today, what the hell? He aged drastically. He lost all his hair. The St. Anthony crown is happening up here. Like, the hairline is just, it's going. You know what I mean? The wrinkles came out. He's just looking stressed. He's got the salt and pepper thing happening.
Yeah.
He looks.
Even his hairline went further.
Yes. He looks. He looks. Yeah.
But I feel like,
first
of all, you find out that, because I don't think he intended on Gypsy getting pregnant. I think he was just trying to have some fun in New Orleans. Because remember, she said she was on birth control.
And then she was the one going to fertility doctors. Meanwhile, he was in Texas. Yep.
That first episode was cringe, but I also think it was a snooze fest. That was the first time I've ever watched a show and people were inboxing me and emailing me and asking for my opinion. And I was like, I don't have anything. Like, I really have to sleep on this because I felt like it wasn't that much.
It was nothing happened. You jumped around, future, past, you know what I mean? Like you were jumping everywhere. Nothing happened. Well, Christy took a nap.
Right,
That's
right,
important
right,
in
right.
television, you know what I mean? And then you and Ken ate dinner.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And you and Ken went to counseling, prenatal counseling after a baby.
Could you imagine if we're watching it and we feel like that? Just imagine the hours and hours of the editors that watch that.
That's the best they can do. And these people can edit to make it do or say anything you want. And with all of the recordings they had, that was the
That's
best.
all they had. That was the best. Yeah, yeah. And
they had Ryan in there a whole lot more. And us creators took up, we had to take up a big chunk because they had nothing to talk about.
that should tell you, and the amount of commercials, that should really tell you the level that they knew that they didn't have anything.
Yep. Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think that is very telling about what this season's going to look like.
But I also think it's very telling about what they didn't allow to
Mahogany,
be.
yes. Thank you,
They
Tempe.
skipped right through the test. They skipped just everything. Boom, boom, boom. It was just really weird how they just bypassed everything.
Yeah, but I also think they're trying, what I think Lifetime is trying to do is throw us off from the timeline because the real timeline doesn't match up to the timeline that they want us to believe. So
Right.
because that timeline doesn't add up, they're like going back and forth to confuse the public.
The audience.
The same way the Sister Wives did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't even think we'll see for real the truth really play itself out.
Yeah. But what truth is there left? Like, what are they going to play out now? Custody of the baby? Like, I just feel like they bypassed a lot of that. What is their story now? Like, you can't get divorced and have two affairs in the same, I guess you can, but that would really be telling. So, what is left for people to watch? What's the plot? Like, last year, it was a trashy mess, but this year, it's you have no life. You're hiding from everybody because you can't let the truth out there. Like, what's the plot?
But, okay, let's be honest. I'm not trying to be rude. But does anyone on here really give a damn about what the baby looks like?
No.
Because I personally don't. Like, whether she shows the baby or she doesn't, I really don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
That's me. I couldn't care any less about the baby. I really don't. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here, I'm calling her out for the relationship, the affair, how the baby was made, when the baby was created, when the baby was born, because again, it goes with the court papers and were you still married? But honestly, the baby has nothing to do with nothing, and I couldn't care any less about it.
Hold on one second. Let me get you some juice.
I don't care what that baby looks like. I don't care, you know what I mean? Any of it with the baby. It has nothing to do with the baby. It has to do with the story surrounding the baby. That's my issue. And again, I agree with you. Please do not show the baby, protect the baby. I think she should. And I think that baby has a target on its back because of her. And so she should do her absolute best to make sure she protects that baby. Because again, the only reason that baby isn't any danger is because, well, you're a murderer. You're an adulterer. You're messy. You're all of that. That's why that baby has a target. Now, not from me, not from any of us, because none of us want to see any harm to that child. In fact, I feel so bad for that baby because you gave this baby this life it's about to live with the weight of your sins on its shoulders. So, you know what I mean? Like, this baby's already going into the world with a whole bunch of shit against it. And so, yeah, I feel really bad for the baby. And she better protect the baby. Do I think she's going to protect that baby? No. I think she's going to use that baby for a storyline, for her influencing, because she needs to make money, and God forbid she works. She's never going to work. Gypsy Rose don't work. Gypsy Rose grifts. And we know that. And again, everyone's like, why do you keep talking about her? You're waiting for her to fall. No, I'm not waiting for anybody to fall. But again, look at who she is. She's Demona. Look at who she used to be. She used to be this same person, making horrible decisions, not being able to cope with any of it, doing what she wants, getting what she wants. It's going to carry on to present day.
She's not going to change. And anyone that believes she will doesn't really understand the magnitude of what's really taking place.
Nope. So yeah, she's going to fall. And where for a long time, I didn't think she was going to reoffend. You know, or at least I was hoping that she wouldn't, because I read Demona, that character.
That was for me, that was the confirmation.
That would, yeah, I don't know that she is unable to, because all of her sexual gratification comes from role playing out this character.
Yep.
The murder of her mother was all a fantasy. Her whole life is nothing but a fantasy she needs to live out to get total gratification from. Her sexual gratification is her happiness. Okay?
Yep.
And that goes right, the humiliation, that goes right back to Ken walking around the train tracks. That confirms it. Because even then, she was still role playing, still playing out these characters, still playing out these. So again, yeah.
Legitimately, this everything has always been a role play. And I think as soon as people really understand that aspect of it, like from a level of, well, this character that she took on, this personality, but also the fact that she merged herself into this. So even any character she plays after Demona is a part of the character of Demona in playing out that.
Yes. Yep. And if you remember, Demona wanted to kill anybody who's around her. She's going to play victim to everybody, and her defense was to kill them.
And she was good at manipulating in order to do that. Yeah.
And so again, sexual gratification, like sexual urges, only get worse over time.
You know what?
Get comfortable with it. You know what I mean? It becomes old, and then you have to move on to something, different.
Worse. Yeah.
Yes. And so again, I believe that whole murder of her mother, again, she was the one who had to have sex afterwards because that was her sexual gratification. The murder was her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gratification there. And so she wants to be gratified. She wants to feel that.
Yeah.
So like you said, she's giving it to Ken how he wants it.
Yeah.
In hopes that Ken will give it to her the way she wants it.
And my concern is if she ever did go back to Ryan, based off of this character, I think he would be the one she would harm. Or Raina. Based off of this character.
You're thinking Ken or Ryan?
No, Ryan or Raina.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan. I really believe that she would harm Ryan.
And which is why I think it's so important for him to really understand what is happening. Because I will be very honest, up until reading up about Demona and you reading about her, that would not have been, I thought she would reoffend, but I thought she'd reoffend in more of a financial crime because she's a scammer.
Right.
But manipulation and all of that is just a part of Demona, but the end game is to unalive.
Yeah. That gives her
not the actual
gratification.
So now knowing that
orgasm unless you kill somebody, well, eventually it's just going to boil down to the fact that you're going to need that.
Yeah. So the end game at the end of the day is not the scamming and the money; it's the gratification of the actual acts, and that is where that's when I think Ryan becomes in danger.
And the scamming and the victim and all of that, that's how she chooses who she's going to go after. Demona.
Yeah.
Demona picks her victims through her own victimhood. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's crazy. And there's a whole psychology behind it. Like when you get into the whole like psychology of it and they're bringing it up in like psychology research papers, I was just like, whoa.
Now think about it this way. If this was to be tried in court again, which we know it won't, at least not on a state level ever.
Right.
Could you imagine with this knowledge, hey, Bam Bam, what would this play out as? She would never see the light of day again.
No. Nope.
Not with what we're privy to. Now that we know. Why are you looking confused?
I don't know. Someone's messaging me. My computer's going all crazy. But yeah, I don't know. My whole thing is, what the most concerning thing is the baby, the daughter.
I'm going to be honest with you. The fact that she's able to be in a room with her is astounding.
Now, I don't think that she would ever do anything to her child. That I will say. If you go by Demona's character, she won't physically do anything to her daughter to harm her. She's not going to physically, you know what I mean, do anything to her. But she will offer her up because to watch it would ease the itch. Does that make
But that would technically still be doing something.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just don't think she's physically going to do it. You know what I mean? She's just going to watch somebody else physically do it.
I don't know. I think that's worse.
It is. I agree. Absolutely. And again, you can sit there and say, and Bree and Gypsy and all of these people can sit there and be like, how sick are these people? Because I can already see it coming. But you have to think about it. It's not how sick are we. It's how sick is she. She is the one who chose Demona. You choose.
She's the one who unalived her mom. Yeah. She's the one who said she'd offer up her daughter. And we're the sick ones?
And she chose to live as Demona. And again, go back to, it was Dr. Phil. There was a couple of them where she could never describe any other character she said she had, because she ultimately, even before Nick, related to Demona. She was Demona even before Nick.
Yes. And even Dan said that.
Yep. And that's why she knew so much about this Demona character. She could describe her to a T. But not Candy or Kitty or Ruby or any of them.
No, I think those other characters were like her throwing monkey bars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just to give him a little what he wanted.
Yes. Demona is Gypsy Rose's alter ego, who is a comic book character that Disney had. But if you read about her, she was all about unaliving people and playing victim and manipulating. And like, you have to actually look it up and like see it, because that is eye-opening in terms of this.
Yeah, guys, go look up Demona, not the cartoon character from Disney though. I mean, that does correlate into it a little bit, but just look up BDSM role playing and Demona the character and demonesses.
Yeah.
That you'll be like they're writing this about Gypsy.
I will, Waterfall. I will. I have 2 videos that I want to do tomorrow. I already like sort of recorded it, but I didn't get a chance to do like the voiceover. Because Lonnie had care today, so I went in to watch her do that, and so I didn't have the time to do what I needed to do. But I will do a video on that.
I was gonna do a video of Demona, but well, number one, like the way we do.
You need to do a live on YT.
Yes.
Because if we really explain it in depth on here, we'll get banned.
Yes. I agree. And if I do a video on it, it's going to make me look sick. Does that make sense?
Well, not really, because if you're just reading the character, this is the character she played. Like, this is the character in writing. This is not you making that up.
I think it makes me feel like, when I read it.
I felt like baby ears yesterday when you first started. I said, yes. Oh, no.
It made me feel ick when I was reading it.
I was like, oh my God, not my baby ears.
Yes, I was feeling really awkward, just like, am I really reading this? Is this a real thing? And when I put 2 and 2 together between this character and Gypsy, I just felt so ick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I felt really...
And then it also makes sense as to why she always wears like BDSM type of stuff to dinners.
Yes.
The pleather, because shorty do not be wearing leather.
You gotta love her pleather.
The dog collar chain thing that she had on. Do you remember that song she had on?
What song was
I'll ask you like something or something like that.
I don't remember which one it was.
Oh, the picture that she did with Ken, where she had the leather dress on, the choker, and those there was a song that was like a real naughty song.
I don't remember what song it was. But I can imagine.
Yep. All of that.
And I think that her sexuality, even though Ken is bi, in my opinion, and I don't think he's totally attracted to her sexually, I think that her sexuality freaks him out a little bit. And that's why it's like, no, we're not touching butts. No, you're not getting in my bed. Like, you know what I mean? Other than the lack of attraction, I think it makes him feel a little bit, this is a lot more than I took on a lot more than I thought.
That man said he wrote a check he can't cash.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it's just all wild. And then to sit there, and the same thing with Ron and them, like they knew this about Gypsy. Yes. They knew it about her.
Just because you can't tell me they didn't read through those incident reports either. Because remember, Christy had been pitching this to all these people all this time.
Yep.
So you mean to tell me you didn't see that? You don't know this?
Yep. No, remember even Gypsy sending crazy pictures to Rod and Mia?
Yes. Like, now that made more sense. The pictures that she sent that was told it was a misunderstanding as to why it ended up to Rod. That all makes more sense now.
Because she needs that attention for these characters. And that goes right back to the characters.
Yeah, it makes a whole lot more sense, to be honest with you. It actually really throws me off. And I think the more you learn about this character is the more you're
Skeeved
weirded
out
out.
you get by her, and the more you worry about everybody around her.
And you know what makes you wonder too is how many more of these unalivings that we see in true crime come from a character.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, look at Slender Man. Remember those girls? That was a character. You know, you gotta wonder what, I don't know, like, at what point does this whole BDSM role-playing thing become dangerous and, you know what I mean, become a psychological illness and not just sexual exploration, you know what I mean?
That's the question. So it does really kind of make you wonder, like, what, like, where does it stop?
Yeah. I can't, this cat.
I I can't lie to you. I think that this is very eye opening.
Yeah. Yep.
It's very, very eye opening. And I honestly don't see this getting better.
No. And that's where originally, before I knew this, I didn't really see her reoffending. You know what I mean? Like, oh my goodness, this cat. I didn't see her reoffending, whereas now it's a serious concern.
I always thought she'd reoffend. I did. I don't know if I thought she would reoffend to that magnitude. I did think it would be along the lines of a financial crime. But
Yeah.
now I know that that's not it.
Yeah. Nope.
Now I know that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Nope.
But it's just interesting to see this all, like, sort of come to light.
And then you got to remember, all of this was created because of her microdeletion. The psychological illness behind the whole sexual appetite and the hypersexuality, all of that is created from this sickness that Dee Dee tried to treat her for before Dee Dee even knew it was a thing.
But you unalived her for it.
Right. And then right, because Dee Dee knew that she was dangerous, though. And then you ended up doing what Dee Dee thought you could do, except it was to her.
And that's why I don't really see her having a relationship with anyone.
Nope.
Just because I feel like she's not capable of, like, having, like, even just her relationship with her mom.
I don't think that this woman can have an emotional relationship to anybody. I don't think she has the ability to care.
No, she doesn't.
Think she has the ability to love. And I think in her mind, she wants to love. I really do. I think in her mind, she wants to love and feel love, but her problem is she can't find it. Hence the whole fantasy that she's trying to play out in this world where people, you know what I mean? Because she can't find it here because she's not capable. Psychologically, she doesn't have the ability to love, be loved, care, any of it. But however, she has learned to copy people, mock people, and, you know what I mean, play along with the social norms. And that's how she's getting away with a lot of it. It's just because she's able to mock the emotions other people show.
Well, here's the thing. The reality is, I think a lot of it is that, remember, a lot of people aren't really learned or taught or raised to understand narcissists, right? And to understand that narcissists mirror behaviors. Because
Right.
if they mirror your behavior, it's something that you can identify with. And it's obviously something that you like. So if I mirror what you put out there, there's no reason for you not to like me.
Right.
Unless you keep that I'm a manipulator, right? So,
She mirrored Nick. She mirrored Dee Dee. She's mirroring Christy.
and she mirrors what she believes the public wants.
Yep, she mirrors Ken. She literally became Ken when she met Ken. She
Yeah.
mirrored Ryan.
So in the grand scheme, when you look at all of this, that's all any of this really is.
She just takes on other people's personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't know who she is because she can't, and so she's Demona.
Yep.
She created her own personality, her own inner self.
Yep. That's all this is. That's all the whole thing.
Yep.
Which
She
is
not capable psychologically.
specifying. But I mean, it kind of is what it is, you know. Like I don't think it'll change. I don't think she will change. The situation won't change. It'll only get worse. And I, as much as she physically may not do anything to that baby, the fact that she would offer it, I don't even think 13 is the beginning. Because why would she do that AI picture and add tatas?
And that was the exact image that that child portrayed, was 13. That cup of, you know what I mean? Like, where you're transforming and, yeah. That's crazy.
No, when I put in that picture into Google search, they said 5 to 7.
That was, really?
Right, do it. Yeah, it said 5 to 7.
She made it look older. She changed that picture, right? She
Right,
altered it.
but the child itself was 5 to 7.
Right. Which, again, that's Gypsy. You know what I mean? Being this little, acting like this little kid during the day and trying to be more sexual and look at me. That's wild.
Is, I don't know if Ken legally could be on the birth certificate yet.
No, the baby's last name is Anderson. Until that's a done deal.
Ain't that some stuff?
Ain't that some shit?
But all right, y'all, I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to call you, though.
Yes. Do call. Yeah, I'm going to get off here, too. I'm not going to be on.
Good night, y'all. Thank you for joining.
Good night, Nina. Thank you.
Good night.